everybody doing this Sunday afternoon? Thank you so much for being a part of this group. I truly appreciate it. I do have to say that I just found out that our auto emails did not go out this week to remind you of today's call and to send you the homework. So hey, Donna Hathaway. So I went ahead and I dropped the homework in on the comments here, but we'll also be sending a follow-up. I'm going to just double check that we are having our auto emails going out properly now. And so we'll get those out in the next couple of days. And so thank you. Thank you for being here. And I just wanted to say hello, and let's make this quick because this is all about habits. And when you join in, just say hi so I know you're on the call, if you don't mind. And today's talk is about habits. And I wanted to talk about a couple of different things. Like one of them is that we generally have a habit, like a habit we want or a habit that we want to get rid of, that I call our kryptonite. It's like that one thing that we know if we make a change and make a change to that habit or add that habit in, then everything else is going to be easier. It's going to be kind of like this cascading effect of good. So I often suggest that people really look for what that habit is that they need or need to get rid of. So like, what is it? For some people, like I can tell you right now, for one of the people in the Being Fit is Free experience going through right now, her habit that she needs to learn is she needs to learn how to sleep better. And she's been having a lot of trouble. And there are some things about sleep you can't manage, but there are a lot of things about sleep that she could manage. And so she's working on that. And that's become her one big habit because she knows that if she deals with that, then everything else is going to be simpler. Like it's just like you wake up the next day, you feel better, you're more inclined to go exercise. I mean, it's just like I said, a cascading effect of good. So ask yourself, like, what's that habit? Or if you want to start a little bit smaller, say, like, what are 3 habits that you've got that if you changed them, added them, tweaked them, would make a big difference for you? A couple of suggestions. One of them is, well, I can use mine. Like this is one that I've been building for a long time, which is consistently stretching. If I consistently stretch, and that habit is anchored in, then everything else is easier for me. Like I just feel better all over. And there are times when I quit paying attention to that habit because it's something I have to keep my eyes on. And maybe I start traveling. I'm traveling for 2 weeks or something. And I let that habit slip away. Hey, Nikki. And then what happens is that I come back and instead of jumping right back into the habit that I know I need, I put it off. So ask yourself, like, what are some of those maybe 3 things that would make a significant difference for you? Could be like more consistent exercise. It could be something as simple as scheduling your exercise. But just like, we know, like, I mean, we really do know deep down what are the things that are going to make a difference for us and what aren't. So ask yourself, like, what's a habit that you'd like to change? What's a habit you'd like to add? And then we can take that habit and we can do one of 2 things with it. One of them is that we can make micro habits. So habits usually are driven by triggers. So let's think of a trigger right now. A trigger might be your day has been a really long, exhausting day. You quit working, you walk in the kitchen, and your first inclination is to grab something, either like, something sweet or salty or whatever it is. Hey, Vita, nice to have you. But to grab something out of the refrigerator, maybe grab something to drink, whatever it is that you drink, and then just sit down on the couch and pick up the remote control. Like that's a habit. And that's a habit that is driven by a trigger. And the trigger is you've finished your day and you're tired. You walk into the kitchen, and the kitchen is where you typically do some of those things. So you can look at your day and see that there are so many triggers. I mean, another habit. Let's say, and this has nothing to do with health or exercise, but let's just say that your husband comes in and he says, oh, I don't know, here, I've got one for you. You walk into the kitchen. We're in the kitchen again. I must be thinking about food. You walk into the kitchen. The dishes are in the sink. They haven't been put up. And the first thing that you do is you snap. But, oh man, like he's not picking up after himself again. That's a habit. Like it's your action, your reaction is just a habit. It's just triggered by something that you'd rather him not be doing. So all of these things are like, just like our whole world to a large degree is driven by just little triggers, little habits. So let's ask ourselves, what's something that you would like to change or add? And then what is the trigger going to be? So if you're going to change something, let's say that we're going back to this end of day, you're exhausted, you walk into the kitchen and you grab something to drink out and to eat and you sit down on the couch. So maybe instead of having the trigger be you walked into the kitchen and it's easy to grab something out of the refrigerator, you've already placed out, I don't know, let's think of something good. You've already placed out like this really good, I mean, to me, it's really good, a really good green drink, right? Something that you're thinking that would be tasty at the end of the day. What that's going to do is it's going to shift your focus. It's going to take your mind off of what you normally do and give you a new habit. And I'm not saying that you do it once and you've got a new habit, but you're going to do this consistently, right? So you're constantly looking for some way to give yourself a new trigger about what it is that you want to change. A really simple trigger. Let's say this one is something to add. You want to start going to the gym 3 times a week or exercising 4 days a week, whatever it is. The trigger needs to be that the night before you put out exactly what you need, exactly what you're going to need to get out the door and get to your exercise. I am a big believer that if you can exercise in the morning, you're going to be way better off because then we've already got it out of the way for the day. Because we start negotiating, and I'll talk about negotiating on habits in a second. But think about this as a great trigger. So you're going to go to the gym in the morning. So the night before, you're going to put your gym clothes out. You're going to put your shoes out. You're going to put your water bottle out. You're going to put your keys right there so you're not like looking for them the next morning, stumbling around and be like, never mind. So like you're pre-prepping what it is that you want to do. Just that pre-prep is creating a habit. And it's creating a trigger and a habit that's going to make it easier the next day. Something that happens is that when you've decided that you're going to do something, let's say the decision is that you're going to work out in the morning, and you've made that decision, then you're already about 80% ahead of the game. Because if you don't decide that you're going to do that, if it's not a commitment in your head, then the next morning when you wake up, the possibility of negotiating with yourself to not do what you said you were going to do is super high. So, and I mean, we've all experienced it. Usually Mondays, Mondays, a lot of times people are doing great. Tuesdays, maybe even too, right? But by Wednesdays, things get a little bit cockeyed. The kids are crazy or the dog needs to go for a walk or whatever it is. And so that's when deciding the night before what you're going to do the next day, what that new habit is, and cementing it with pre-prep is going to make all the difference. It's just a huge difference in whether or not you're going to get out the door. Another thing is that if you start negotiating, okay, a lot of times when we want to change a habit, if you think about it, you're going to find that you're negotiating with yourself. Like, oh, let's see, I'm just going to grab a glass of wine or a soda or whatever it is, and I'm going to sit down on the couch for just 15 minutes. That's all, just 15 minutes. And next thing that happens is that you realize that 45 minutes have slid by and nothing got done. So that's a negotiation with yourself. So you want to figure out how to stop those negotiations with yourself as quickly as you can. So you do it by presetting your triggers. Presetting your trigger by knowing what you're going to snack on, eat, drink, do at the end of the day. Don't even go in the kitchen if you're exhausted at the end of the day and you normally go in the kitchen to do your stuff. Don't even go in the kitchen. Walk out the front door and go for a walk. Like, think about ways that you can reset your trigger, okay? And does anyone have any comments about this? I feel like I'm chatting away here and everybody's pretty quiet. So I'm either doing an amazing job or a really poor job. I don't know which it is. So let me know, okay? Couple of other things about habits. One of them is that I think that you can do habits in two different ways. You can do micro habits, and which are tied to a different kind of trigger, and macro habits. So a micro habit would be that, let's say that you've decided your micro habit's going to be that, yeah, oh, Beta says that she negotiates a lot. Yes, I mean, we are negotiating machines, if you think about it. I mean, we are. So we have to figure out how to just stop the negotiations in its tracks early on. And it really does require prep, whatever that prep is, like whatever it is. It could be going to the grocery store and buying the food that you need to be eating that week when you're not hungry, and plan for the, literally prep food for the whole week, versus going at the end of the day when you are hungry. Like, there's just so many little things. And if you look at if you just look at the schedule, right? You just look at your week, look at your life, and you're going to find all those places that you can circumvent the negotiations. Because when we start negotiating, what it means is that we haven't committed to what we said we were going to do. Because if you commit to what you say you're going to do, then you're not going to negotiate. So it's finding all those little nuances, and then building on them, like micro habits. Like micro habits could be, let's say that you decided that you need to do calf raises when you brush your teeth and butt squeezes when you floss. I mean, something, whatever silly thing you can do, but you're layering on to something you're already doing. So this is a new kind of trigger. So now your trigger is you're going to brush your teeth every day, right? So when you brush your teeth, you now know that you're going to do calf raises. When you floss your teeth, you now know you're going to do butt squeezes, whatever it is. So start looking for little things. Like, some people are great at micro habits, and some people are great at macro habits, and some people are good at both, or suck at both, quite frankly. I'm not a great micro habit person. I'm really not. Like, I look for the big things that I can deal with, and then I fit everything else in. So, hey, Shelly, thanks for joining us. So what you want to do is if you think that you'd be good at micro habits, then look at your day and just find, like, I don't know, 5 different times of the day when you're doing something, but you're not really doing it. You're not really concentrating on it. Maybe you're at the grocery store, or maybe you're in line at the store, let's say. So you're just looking for these different places that you can add a micro habit. And a micro habit could be, let's say you're at line in the grocery store, and instead of thinking, Matt, here's a long line at the grocery store again, you start practicing deep breathing and relaxation. Like, there's just little things you can do. And some people love micro habits. There's a book out there called Atomic Habits, and it's pretty good. And it talks a lot about the micro habits. So if you feel like you could make little changes, I do think that micro habits work best if you have a very consistent schedule. My schedule is not consistent. What's consistent is my mornings. I know exactly what's going to happen in the mornings. And then after that, I could be doing a speaking engagement. I could be on a phone call. I could be, writing copy. Like, there's just so many different things that happen. Hey, Michelle, thanks for joining us. But so what you really want to do is you just want to be looking for, if you're a consistent routine person, then maybe you want to add your micro habits in there. And if you're more like I am, which is, I'm a big picture person, so I'm going to go for the big habit changes that are going to then let things trickle down that way. Instead of trickling up, they trickle down. Hang on just a second. Let me see what Beta said. Okay, so let's just talk about triggers one more time, because Veda's talking about when she gets overwhelmed or frustrated or fatigued. Those are triggers. Just like having those emotions are triggers. You don't have to be doing something. Emotions are huge triggers for us. A huge trigger could be like, I don't know, let's think about it. You get in an argument with your spouse, and so then you get in a bad mood. Like, that's really just a trigger, okay? And then so let me just talk to you for just a second, Veda. So if you've been overweight for many, many years, and it's okay, like everything we're talking about is a long game. None of us got to where we are today by doing something different by doing something yesterday. Like we all have many, many years of whatever it is that gets us here, whether it's good habits or bad habits, lots of working out or not working out. But what I would say is find something, like don't focus on the weight. Like just don't focus on the weight. And I know that is counterintuitive. I totally get it, right? Totally counterintuitive. And I'm going to tell you a story about that in a second. But instead of thinking that, think about, find something that you really like to do. Like one thing you really like to do, whether it's go for a walk, whether it's eat well, cook. One thing, like just find that one thing that's going to be that feels good. Maybe it's going to the gym. Just find something that's going to be movement or it's going to be health related, and just focus on it. Focus on making that a habit before anything else. And take that one thing, whatever it is, and put it in your schedule. And I mean, we talk a lot in Being Fit experience is that like scheduling. Scheduling is so important because if you don't schedule something, it's not real. Like when you write something to a schedule, it becomes real. When you put it in your head, it's not real yet. So find that one thing that you like to do, that you would love to do, that you'd like to try, that you're willing to do, and just put it on your schedule and just start committing to it. What that does is it creates, so now you're creating a habit, following your schedule, doing the thing that you said you're going to do. The more we do what we say we're going to do, the more we do what we say we're going to do. It's like a muscle, because it's so easy to get frustrated. It's so easy to be triggered and just go like, tonight's not the night that I'm going to deal with that. Tomorrow I'll deal with it. Forget it. It's like a line in the sand. This is the time that, you're saying like, I'm going to be committed. And what if you only say you're going to do it for 30 days? Anybody can do anything for 30 days. Like we all got this for 30 days, right? So just say like, line in the sand. For 30 days, this is what I'm going to do. And then just be 1,000% committed, like 1,000% committed. And that commitment comes with scheduling. And that commitment comes with paying attention to the triggers. It comes with the pre-prep. And that pre-prep could be pre-prepping your food, or pre-prepping your clothing, or pre-prepping your family and just saying, this is what I'm going to do. Like, this is it. I'm doing this, and that's just the way it's going to be. But like, just line in the sand and just do it for 30 days. 30 days is a good start. Like, pretty much the science behind it says that it's really closer to about 66, 70 days to actually change something to make it a new habit. But 30 days is a darn good start. And then you just see that you've done something that you said you were going to do. And then the next thing you say you're going to do becomes easier. And it just becomes a foundation that you're building. And I just forgot what I was going to tell you. Sorry about that. I guess I should put some notes down, huh? So coming back to that. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So I'm going to tell a story real quick. One of my clients, she's had a lot of health issues for years. And she was heavy. I don't know what heavy was, but she had a lot more weight on her than she wanted. And so her health issues started getting better. Like she was really getting better. She got off the medication that she was on. Like this was a medication thing that was going on. And then she was to the point where she's like, now I want to lose weight. And she started doing all these things like dieting and going to the weight, doing weights and doing this and doing that. And like she was like in a frenzy, really. And it wasn't feeling good to her. It wasn't working really well. She was tweaking out a couple of things and she was frustrated. And so I suggested to her, I said, okay, tell me 2 things that you like to do. Like, what do you like to do? And she said, I like to dance and I like to swim. I said, okay, So for the next 30 days, all you have to do is you have to either swim or dance 4 days a week. That's all you got to do. Nothing else. Don't worry about anything else. Just don't worry about it. And so she did. And she started realizing that she really loved swimming. She'd forgotten how much she loved swimming. So she started doing more swimming. And so what happened was that, so 30 days goes by, she's doing more swimming. She adds in a little yoga because she remembered that she likes yoga too. So now she's really up to 5-6 days a week of doing something. And she's still not worrying about her food. She's not worrying about anything else. But she said to me, she said, you know what? I've noticed that I'm making better food choices. And I explained to her that there's a lot of science behind the fact that once you start moving consistently, like movement actually creates better food choices. Like there's a lot of studies out there that show this. And so in the diet industry, just doesn't want to talk about this, right? Like, you know, you're supposed to do keto and play and whatever, right? Forget that. So what's going to happen is that the more you move, you're just going to start making automatically better food choices. So now she's 60 days in. She's been swimming. She's making better food choices. She's still not on any, like, you know, any hardcore weights, and she's not on any serious diet or anything like that. And she called me. She's like, oh my gosh, I just put on a pair of jeans to see if I could fit into them. I haven't worn them in years. They fit. She said, I completely quit worrying about my weight and have just been concentrating on the things that I really like to do. So there's a lot, I mean, there's a lot in the mindset part of this too. Like there's a big piece of mental in all of this. But just think about like the things that you really like to do, and start building those into your habits. Start doing those, put those on your schedule first. Like really think about those, and don't worry about the other stuff right away. So Shelley, you said you only thought of prepping meals. Tell me a little bit more about that, because as far as you've just thought about doing it, but you haven't been doing it. And for some people it works, and for some people it doesn't. I know for myself, like I'm someone who goes to the grocery store once a week. I know what we're going to eat the next week. It's not like our food is super exciting because like there's a lot of repetition, but I also know that, you know, it fits what we need to be eating. And, you know, and usually once a week there's some sort of splurge meal that I put in there. But all in all, I don't pre-prep the food, but I pre-shop and know exactly what we're going to eat. I have friends who actually pre-prep on Sundays or whatever day works for them, where they have everything ready to go and then they can just throw it together. That works really well for some people. I'm not that person. I'm not going to stand around for 2 hours on Sunday evening and cut up vegetables, but I do cut corners, buying the, you know, pre-riced cauliflower and all those things. Definitely. And we can certainly talk about food some other time. We do that a lot in the experience because it's a big deal. Food's a big part of our lives, right? So, okay, let me stop for just a second. I've gone over 20 minutes. I don't want to keep you guys here forever. So I just want to see, does anyone have any questions? Anybody have any comments? Because I want to talk a little bit more about macro goals, which is creating big goals, and then let's wrap it back up. But I'd love to hear if you've got any comments, let me know. So your micro goals, your atomic goals, are the little things that you attach to something that you're already doing, and that becomes your trigger. The brushing of the teeth, the walking of the dog, the, you know, whatever it is, the taking the kids to school, whatever you're already doing, you attach a goal to it, or you attach a habit to it, a mini habit, something that, you know, builds upon itself. Or you go the other way, which is the macro goal. And this is the macro, sorry, I got goal brain right now. The macro habit. So this is where you're going to find something in your life that, you know, if you change it or add it, you're either taking a habit away or bringing a habit in. Generally speaking, I mean, You're either adding good habits or removing bad habits. So what's that one thing, whether it's bringing it in or getting rid of it, that is going to make the most substantial difference for you? It could be something as simple as scheduling your exercise. That is a habit, right? Like it is. On Sunday evenings, I put my schedule for the next week, and it's right over my computer right now where I can see it. I know exactly what's going to happen. I do know that things change. Like, I don't know, something could happen and I might have to flip something, but all in all, I know what that schedule is. So having that habit of scheduling it's not a big deal, right? It's a pretty simple habit, but it sets the tone for the entire week for me. So what are some of the things that you could do? What are some of the habits that you could create that's going to help you with those? Okay. And while you're thinking about that, I'm just going to check the comments real quick. Okay, so Veta says she doesn't know about doing what she likes to do. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna say something here. So I totally understand where you are, because there was a point where I was taking care of the mom and running the business and doing all the things, right? Doing all the things. And the first time that happened was the first time I let myself just get out of shape. And that's when I realized that if I don't move, and if I don't take care of myself, and if I don't do the things that I love to do, it doesn't have to be, it's not like, it's not like I'm on this big splurge 8 hours a day doing things that I love to do. But it does mean that I'm doing something for myself consistently. And for me, that thing that is consistent is movement. Like movement is key in my world. But if I don't do that, then I can't take care of anyone else, really. Like you can only do it for so long, and then your body's not going to work anymore. Your body's going to start giving you trouble. And so it's like looking for something that you love to do and just laying down the law. The kids can help. The mom can be taken care of by somebody for a short while. And I know, like, this is tough love coming from me, okay? Because I totally get it. I know I have been that person who feels like she has to do all this stuff. And sometimes, sometimes you just don't have perfection in the things that need to get done too. If the kids go out with yesterday's clothes on, well, they go outside with yesterday's clothes on. But I'm kidding, but I'm not. Like, it's looking for those places that you can find time for yourself. Yeah. Oh, that's sweet. It is going to be a better week. It's going to be a better week because of all of us, actually. Because of all of us. Because we're here and we're cheering each other on. So just to come back to that macro goal one more time, find something. What's that one thing that you can do that's going to make the biggest difference in your life right now? So you can start small, you can start big, but find that one thing, and it doesn't have to be a big deal. It just has to be the thing that's going to make the deal. Okay? So anyone want to tell me what your habit is that you're going to do this week, what that big macro habit's going to be? I can tell you for me, let me think for just a second. I can tell you what mine's going to be, is that typically, like very often, used to be every day, at the end of the day, I would always write down what my next day was going to be. Like, I work from home, so I would sit down, I'd get out my day timer, I'd write down exactly what my next day was going to be. I mean, I already know what my workout's going to be, but this was for work too. And I started slipping the last couple of weeks. Some of you probably heard my dog, but where's my dog? Sorry. She was sick, and things just kind of got a little overwhelming. And at the end of the day, I wasn't taking care of my stuff. I wasn't writing down the next day. So what happened was it started slipping as a habit. And then it's a cascading effect of not good, because then I would get to the office my desk the next day, sit down, and instead of knowing exactly what was going to happen, I'd start kind of fiddle-farting around because I didn't have it in black and white. So that is what I'm doing this week. That is the habit that I am resetting in my world and recreating, because it is such a big piece for me. So if you know what yours is going to be, let me know. If you're still thinking about it, let me know later. I appreciate it. And if you have any questions, I appreciate that too. But in the meanwhile, have a wonderful, wonderful week. I can't wait to reconnect. I think we're connecting on Tuesday, and it is, let me check. Tuesday is 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, and I think we've got a Q&A that day. So if you've got any questions, let me know. And otherwise, I am going to just check real quick. Nikki's going to be planning your meals the night before. Good for you. And walking with your daughter instead of oh, okay. Instead of playing games on the phone, you just made my day. I did something this weekend that okay, I must be in a talkative mood. Excuse me. So I don't feel like I use my phone that much. Like I don't have any notifications set on it. The ringer is usually off. I just try not to be driven by the phone. But I also thought about the fact that I do look at it, right? Like I'm checking email on it and stuff like that. So I use an iPhone. So I put something on it. Hang on. Of course, it's sitting right here, right? What I put on it was an app called Moment. And Moment allows me to see exactly how many times I pick up the phone in a day and exactly how many minutes I'm using that phone in a day. Because I want to have as little amount of time messing around on the phone as I can and as much amount of time as I can doing things that I really love to do. So if you use an Android, I don't remember what the app is called, but basically it's just a screen tracking app, and it's worth your 5 minutes of phone time to put it on there because it's kind of interesting. And you'll find that life is just so much better when you've got other things to do, things that you enjoy doing, than just looking at the phone. So I am now going to say goodnight to everybody. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see y'all on Tuesday. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and let me know what you're up to. Bye-bye.